like to welcome each one of you. The part of the message we want to say is today we plant a seed. We plant a seed in the soil of Trinidad and Tobago, which ultimately will transform and make a better Trinidad and Tobago. The youth, your children, and your grandchildren will come. You know, they say that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So today we plant that tree, and I want each one of you to participate in that and experience that you are part of this journey. You, not just the parties that are represented here, but each one of you have a part to play. Let's speak about this. Each of you, in a sense, has to be a disciple. That is how you see the multiplier effect. How 50 people can lead 1,000 people, 1,000 to 100,000. And that small seed that today we plant becomes a huge tree where all our future generations will find shade, will find plenty, will find income, will find stability. So it is a very important moment today as we embark on that journey together as a tripartite group. And we listen to the anthem just now. And one of the things that stand out to me is it said, side by side we stand. Not one in front and not one behind. Together. We are all in this together. Because you can't let anybody say. Everybody has. As Mr. Buchanan would say, if Lavantique does not rise, Trinidad and Tobago cannot rise. And we know, and we're going to hear from our first speaker, that one of the important criteria for us actually being the people we want to be starts with the youth. But it also means that we need to start to get crime under control. We will hear about that. And then we'll hear about how to make this economy flourish instead of doing it downturns and it is today. So it's an extremely important event. You plant a small seed and it will mushroom and take over and become something all of us will be proud of. Welcome. Thanks very much. Let the journey begin. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Steve Alvarez and I am tasked to be the chairman tonight. So, generally, what I have to do is simply to introduce the people. But I want to start by saying that there was a tremendous concern in the nation about where we're going. Where are we going as a people, as a nation? And a good friend of mine, I wouldn't say a good friend of mine, our deputy political leader, Louis, who is here with us, says that, Steve, he says to me all the time, that Steve, we need the good people to come forward and to participate in the process. So I'm very happy tonight that you have decided to come and listen to what we have to say. But it has to go beyond that. You have to speak to your neighbors, to your friends, to everybody else, and let them know that the world is a dangerous place, but Trinidad is becoming an even more dangerous place. We should not, as a small nation, be up there in terms of crime at world levels. When you talk about the world, Trinidad is like a little spot in the ocean. But when you talk about crime, we're right up there. So that's not what we've done. That, plus we have the facilities and the economic wealth to do better. But it can only happen if you decide to participate in the process. And again, I congratulate you for coming tonight. I'll be tremendously happy to see you. And let's take this further. Talk to everyone we know so that tomorrow could be a bright day for all of us and for all of Trinidad and Tobago. I want to introduce our first speaker, who is the chairman of the Congress of the People. And he's going to talk to you about youth, and because it's very important as we go forward to understand that we have to build this nation not only for us, but for our young people as well. So Lonsdale Williams is going to come forward now and talk to us about that. Thank you.
Thank everyone for taking the time to be here. It is critical that we speak about youth empowerment, because I've been asked to speak on youth empowerment. I think it was godly hindsight, let me say, that youth empowerment was the first topic to be chosen. Because somehow we think that our nation is built on us, the older people, but it's really built on the youth of our nation. Yet we spend less amount of money. I'm pretty passionate about young people. I have worked with young people for more than 30 years. And there are some startling things that I've discovered. We have a service, and in 2022, the budget was about $755,000. Yet when we look at the CSO stats, the youth of this nation accounts for almost 40% of our population. Now that figure has grown, it grew last year. But the question is, what we need to do. Now let me share with you what us at the COP, we are the COP, envision. We don't have a youth policy. We want to talk about the process of getting our young people involved in decision making, working with young people. And we discovered that the young people of that day were very interested in what was happening on the political spectrum, but had no voice. And out of that, we started a program called the Youth Vote Initiative. Now, I was part of no political party at that time. But we wanted to give the young people of our nation through the secondary schools an opportunity to participate. And so what we did was that we started the process of educating, working with the educators. Of course, let me say that we did it the right way. We went to the Ministry of Education, got approval, because you can't go into schools and do things just like that. And we started that Youth Vote Initiative, where we did it online. Students were allowed to go online, research political parties, etc., and at an appointed time, vote. It was the first online voting process that we had in this country. We were able to discover a number of things out of that, because young people were not thinking traditional politics. And because of that, we realized we were onto something. Schools and teachers were coming to us and saying, we are now engaging our students in part of their curriculum, but from a different perspective. So we were empowering our young people, not just to be a part of the status quo, but to think differently. The idea wasn't to get an accurate reflection of what was taking place. The idea was to empower young people to have their say. It meant that we were giving young people an opportunity to have a say. Tell us how you actually feel, include our youth. Let me share this. And for those who have been in government before, when you go into cabinet to make a decision, there are criteria that says these are the things that you can release to the public, and these are the things because of, you know, he stands ready to call for open data, open government across the board. No one is willing to do it. Why? Because we want to keep control. Now envision this. We are currently into climate change. We're talking about climate change. There is a program that engages young people to find solutions for the water problems that we are facing and expected to face well into the future. And right now, within the World Bank, this program closed in February of 2024. It's not a talk shop. Young people were given a task by country. I didn't hear about that in Trinidad and Tobago, so I can't say it took place here. But they actually gave young people the right to be a part of the decision-making process as to how we will take care of our country now and into the future. I don't know if anyone of you would have had an opportunity to sit with a young person who would tell you, but no, why can't we do it this way? And if you took enough time to listen to that young person, you may have recognized that they had a solution. We don't know everything. And if we have to empower young people, it can't be by having a forum, creating a policy paper, and then putting it on a shelf. We've done that for 30, 40, 50 years, and we see where we are today. So I want you to envision with me a country where a prime minister is about to make a statement, but next to him stands a young person who would have contributed to that. And so that when he speaks or she speaks, the young people of this country are enthused because he speaks their language. He's not speaking the language of his financiers. He's not speaking the language of his tribe. He's speaking the language of Trinidad and Tobago. It's about empowering the young people, not just by giving them programs, but by having them be active participants in the decision-making process. I want to ask you guys, think of any program in this country right now where we have active participation of young people. Give me one year. There isn't any. Now I can call at least 4 or 5 programs from CCC, My Land, My Park. There are a number of youth-based programs that we spend money on. Every ministry trying to do something, but no one achieving anything. Most of the crime, and I'm talking about gun crime, and the crime that we see on the video short, is committed by young people. Why? Why is that happening? It is because they have no hope. They have no part to play in how our country is run. And so therefore, the easiest thing to do is, hey, get a gun, go make some money, because guess what? Those are the top. They're doing whatever they want. They're living nice, they're driving their nice cars, and we at the bottom, we don't even have a say in how things are done. There's a village that I grew up in, and I was talking to a young man yesterday. I asked him when last did a box rain project come up into it. And he said last election. And I said on average, how many of the guys, on any given day, how many young guys sit on the block? It's about 30 or 40 of them. 30 or 40 young men sitting on a block daily with nothing to do. Yet we hear about all kinds of projects and multi-million-dollar projects being rolled out. And our communities are being affected. We are in jails, because I don't know about you, but if you live, especially if you're living in a flat house, it's burglar-proof. So we're living in jail while the criminals are on the outside, because we are not engaging our young people. We're happy to see that the government every day started the national service. We haven't heard much about it in terms of how it actually is taking place, but it's something we think that can help our young people. We really know COVID was right around the corner. But think about you sitting in your home for almost 1 year. The use of technology was critical at that time. And this was something that the CFP was saying, engage our young people in. They are the ones who grasp this. They understand it, they understand cryptocurrency. Whether we like it or not, it is going to get there. So it is critical that we engage the ones who are seeing well into the future and say, this is what's going to happen. It is critical, ladies and gentlemen, that we no longer pay lip service to the young people of our nation. And I close with this for all the politicians that are here. If you're looking for votes, understand that young people between the ages of 18 to 35 now make up 40% of our population. Let's go win those young people by empowering them to be a part of the decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you, my good friend Lonsdale. Let me say tonight that this meeting, while we're talking about youth and we're talking about family development and we're going to be talking about the economy, this meeting is also more important than all of that, is that we want to hear from you. So after the 3 presentations, we are going to ask you to have that open forum where you can ask questions. I want to also say that common sense would tell each and every one of us that no one party can go against the PM and just win them like that. So tonight, we have the political leader of the NTA, Captain Gary Griffith. We have the political leader of the COP, Kurt Sinnott. And we have the political leader of Hope, who will be with us, Timothy Hamilton. We also have deputy political leaders with us. We have a deputy political leader of Hope, Karen Nunez-Tesheira, and deputy political leader of Hope, the ex-mayor of Port Spain. People always say the best mayor that Port Spain ever had. And we also have the deputy leader of COP, Wendell's Episode. And we have the deputy leader of NTA, Commander Dindial. So we want to get to that point where we can talk to you and we can hear what you say really quickly. So now we're going to ask Karen Nunez-Tesheira to give the presentation on energy and the economy. Karen Nunez-Tesheira.
All right, so I'm going straight to the topic, and the topic is the economy and the energy sector. I'm starting to think of a better way to illustrate the interlinkage, the interconnection inextricably between the economy and the energy sector. That's why I'm going to pose on that. Guess who I'm going to quote? Your Minister of Finance, Mr. Colin Dindial, because he gave an affidavit in support of establishing the Revenue Authority. And in that affidavit, in paragraph 19, so you can go and look at it yourself, this is what you have to say. The economy of Trinidad and Tobago is an oil and gas-based economy. And the performance of the country's economy is heavily dependent on the performance on the international price of oil and gas and the amount of oil and gas we produce. So if you have any question, you've heard it from the Minister of Finance. I don't have to give you any further explanation that there is direct interconnection between the economy and the energy sector. Now I will say that speaking about oil, it's really not, neither here nor there. The reason for that is because Trinidad and Tobago has mature oil fields, and we do not produce more than about 53,000 barrels per day. And in fact, the Central Bank said we had reduced by 11%. What we have been doing for many, many, many years, I'm sure many of you know that, we have been importing crude oil. That's what we've been doing. We have been importing crude oil and making various fuels, aviation fuel, LPG, gasoline. That is what we've been doing with crude oil. So we are not any producer, we're a producer of crude oil, and it's been like that for many years. However, I am not here to discuss refining because I wouldn't conversation with them. But the point of it is, to restart refining, we do know that it said that we need at least $1 billion in addition to startup. But if you have any doubt about the effect of how the oil sector does affect us, the fact of the matter is because we stop refining crude oil from other countries, we now have to do what? Import it. And who imports it? Carrier trading. And for the Freedom of Information Act, I can't remember the name of the gentleman, he said in 3 months, we spent US 430 million in importing fuels that we use to refine. So I'm not here to go on about that because that's not really the point I'm making here is crude oil is not what we are talking about. What we are talking about in this country is what? Natural gas. Now there are two things he said, price and production. So let's look at the fact of the price. He had to admit in the mid-year review that, well, first of all, when he did his budget speech for 25, he explained why he came to the number for the crude oil. But all he said about natural gas is $1 less than last year. Instead of being $6, it's $5. End of text. The fact of the matter, natural gas from the beginning of 2023, and it's still ongoing, is going in 190, 250 exactly. But they do have arrangements with companies. But nevertheless, in mid-May, when he gave the mid-year review, he had to admit that the revenues for natural gas was nowhere near $5 per MMBTU, but was near the 335 MMBTU. How could he make such a big mistake? And as a result of that, he took out $2.3 billion out of the consolidated fund. And for those who don't know, when you use this terminology, the consolidated fund is where all the revenues of our country goes, and then it's transferred to the IDF, transferred to the HSM. But that's where it goes. And you know where he put it? He put it in revenue. And you know why? Because he already anticipated the fiscal deficit, the difference between revenue and expenditure for 24-25 was supposed to be $5 billion. But in May, he had to admit, even with putting $2.3 billion in revenue, that it was going to be about over $9 billion. And here is talking about. And I want to quote him, because I want to quote him on the issue. Let me just finish this point. So we have said that the natural gas is the player, and I talk about price, but I didn't talk about production. The Prime Minister spoke about it in 2019. It's in the Ministry of Energy. It's spoken about all the time. We have a shortage per day of 1.1 billion cubic feet of natural gas. You hear that figure? And Ministry of Energy, I think, said 1.4. And that is why we are unable as an energy economy to satisfy that LNG. In fact, LNG is operating at 60% capacity. In 2023, 7 companies in the petrochemical industry closed down. And I'm sure you read about 2 weeks ago where the CEO of the Methanex, when we were the largest producer of methanol in the world, they closed down Atlas, which is the major producer, reopened the smaller one, but having done that, they have told us that we are going to get 1 million tons less of methanol this year. Why? Lack of natural gas. All of what I spoke about, LNG, that's what it stands for, liquid natural gas. The downstream industry, the feedstock is what? Natural gas. So if we have any doubt as to where the state of our energy sector, I just told you the 2 main players, LNG and Oilisa, is clearly showing you that a lack of natural gas production and price is the reason why we are in the position we are in. And what I'm going to do now is turn quickly, because all you run businesses, some of you anyway do, and when you're trying to determine whether your business is doing well or not, what are you going to look at? You're going to look at the profit, you're going to look at the loss, you're going to look at what you're making money, you're going to look at forecasting, and you're going to look at what areas you want to really concentrate on. So what the Central Bank does every year, twice a year, they publish what they call key macroeconomic indicators. It's just a big fancy. What it really tells you is what's the health of the economy. Since in Minnesota already told you that we are an energy economy, and we already told you that we didn't get the price, and also we took $1 billion out of the Heritage and Stabilization Fund the other day and put it in the consolidated fund. That's what he did. So I'm dealing with the foreign exchange reserves. Nobody wants our money. I'm sorry to say, the world is the world of US currency is king. So when we look at our foreign exchange reserves, we are looking at it from the point of view of ability to purchase services and goods from abroad. Now imagine we have gone from 2015 to having a foreign exchange reserve position of 10.8 billion with over 10 months of import cover to dropping our own all numbers, but it's a lot. January 2024 to 5.8, February 5.6, March 5.4. You hear those numbers? And in June, we got an injection of 500 million from the central bank to put it at 5.9. Now, it's bad enough that you don't have the foreign exchange because that's what you need to purchase. Nobody's going to take your monopoly money. I'm sorry to put our money there, but I don't know which country is going to take it, right? So, you already know your position, but what makes it even worse, and it's not me saying that, economists have said it. When you look at what constitutes the foreign exchange reserves, most of it is debt. Because you know your minister loves to go on the market and borrow bond after bond after bond after bond. Right? He just did one the other day for 750 million, boasting about it, and paying what they call it, they put a coupon with an interest rate which is very high of over 6%. And he was warned by Moody's that we were just one step below junk status. You know what that means? Foreign direct investors are not going to want to invest in you, number one, and when they call in the interest rate, they call in the number. You understand? So that is the reality that even if, according to these economists, if they took out the bond, what idea of the bond that we have floated, they say we have about 413 million. Some 700 something million that we can account for as a result of our export of goods and services. That's where you reach. And if you doubt it, what did the banks do? What did the banks do? The banks, you can't get money in the banks. You know that, but unless you're, most of us can't, okay? Right, there we go. So we can't get it. So what people have turned to do is using their credit card. And when they go away, they would buy things with their credit card. And of course, the government has to honor those payments in US currency. Every bank has slashed the amount of US currency that you can utilize when you're abroad to purchase and use it for US currency. But the banks I know are Republic, Scotiabank, so I don't know if you know them. But that is how bad it has gotten. So that's the foreign exchange rate. The next one I'm going to take, I'm not supposed to go through all, I'm just going to go through a few, just to give you an idea. The fiscal deficit. You all know what it is, the difference between the revenue and the expenditure. And only 1 year, 2022, we had a balanced budget. But it was on neither a deficit or surplus, surplus. And the minister asked me why. He admitted why. This is a paragraph 27 of his own affidavit. You see how things have worked out? You see, nothing like telling the truth there. Paragraph 27. He said, we cannot continue to sustain budget deficits by the government borrowing and government debt much longer. And international credit agencies warned us that it is well, if they're not able to achieve fiscal consolidation in a balanced budget, credit rating agencies will downgrade us. He has to admit to that. And in 1 year, 1 in 15 years, that we did not have a deficit was the UK-Russia war. Had it with us, not one damn thing. And I'll go briefly now just to 3 other points, and that will get over end my contribution on the state of the economy. So these are key indicators. Inflation rate. Now, of course you don't want the inflation rate to be too high because what inflation does, and that's where the central bank plays a key role, it affects your purchasing power of your dollar. So you might work for 5,000, but if it costs me $2,000 more for whatever, I said you might as well be looking for $3,000, correct? And what we're seeing now is that the inflation rate has been 0.9%. You know what they call that? It's called cost-push inflation. Now what is cost-push inflation? That's when the price increases for the input is greater and the price of the input is greater. What is the manufacturer going to do? Passing it on to the consumer. But what the central bank also says is this, on that point, when we talk about inflation, they make the point, a slowdown in the rate of inflation does not mean prices have decreased. We know that we go to the supermarket, right? Rather, it means price levels are increasing, but they're not solving. It also means people simply do not have the money to spend. Okay, and two final points, and they may be central bank, and I'm finished with my contribution as the state of the economy, and it comes from the central bank, the reserve requirement. The central bank has a reserve requirement for banks. What it does, it tells the banks that you have to keep at least an X% in cash, because you might get a demand for withdrawal, so you must be able to meet it immediately. The central bank also plays an important part in financial stability and controlling inflation. What did the central bank do recently? They told banks you do not have to keep 14% in cash anymore. Only have to keep 10%. What does that mean? You have released 4% more into the system. Why are you doing that? Because there's not enough liquidity money circulating. You want to encourage people to borrow. You want people to go in the bank and take out a loan. You want to get the economy moving. And that is why the central bank reduced the reserve requirement of 40%. And the final point on that is what all probably know what they call the repo rate. Right? So there's a fancy word, but it just means the purchase rate that banks have to pay overnight to the central bank to control inflation. And what it says is, listen, if we keep the repo rate low, we are telling you keep your interest rate in the bank low. So that will encourage people to do what? To exactly. So exactly. It was introduced in 2002 at 5.75. It has stuck at 3.50 for the last 5-6 years. You know why? Between reserve requirement, between all what I have told you today, and inflation, etc., the economy is in a perilous state. And in fact, the final point I'll be able to connect to that is that it is encouraging capital flight. Because many people, if they have the US Fed rate 5.75 is the interest rate. It might be a little lower. It's about around 5, but not 3.50. Exactly. So the point is, many people who have US, instead of bringing it back into the country, what are they doing? They are investing it abroad, and that's called capital flight. So that's my last point this afternoon. I hope I have made connection between energy sector and economy by using key economic indicators and words of the Minister of Finance himself to say, listen, the natural gas is what controls our economy. Thank you for listening.
Well, I must say that was a very informative contribution from Karen Nunez-Tesheira. Let's hear it from her again. Before I introduce the next speaker, I just want us to think about what we have been seeing on our phones. If I say it, I'm sure that it's been viral. I'm sure that at least some of us here, if not all of us here, would have seen it. There's a guy on their phone in Shibboleth, I think, that says to this, it was made public, this guy saying, I need $17,000. I think it was a doubles vendor. And the guy is responding, he said, but I'm a doubles vendor. I can't find $17,000 for you. His answer was, you take a joke, you know what? I seriously. As a matter of fact, I pass it tonight and make sure you understand that it's serious. And then the video goes on to show that these two guys walked up to the man's house and just shoot up the house to let him know that he's serious. Now you tell me, in a civilized world, in a country that is supposedly a developed country or a developing country, how can criminals be so emboldened that they can say, "I come in tonight." This video, from what I got, this guy would have contacted the police. They came that night and there's nobody to apprehend them. So for crime in this country, it's a serious thing. And when you look at the headline, I think it was in yesterday's newspaper, they're saying business people are closing down their businesses. What? Because of this threat from others. That's saying you have to pay taxes. But we pay taxes, that's why we pay taxes. We pay taxes to the government to keep us safe. So now you have to pay taxes to the government and pay taxes to the bandit. We have to come together, all of us, and do something about this country. It's not good enough to just sit down and talk about it. So tonight we have the Deputy Political Leader of the NTA, Commander Dindial, and he's going to talk to you tonight about crime. And of course, you would know that crime affects everything in our society. Thank you.
Good evening, one and all. Before I give my presentation, it's good for some people to know who I am. So I am retired Lieutenant Commander Norman Dindial. I am a retired officer from the Coast Guard. I'm also a former United Nations Drug and Crime consultant. We'll keep it simple and that way we all on the same crime prevention, criminal justice, the rule of law, and sustainable development. Now, in 2015, Trinidad and Tobago and members of the United Nations, because we are in the international body that understand what we're doing, we used to subscribe to something called the UN. We are now ascribed to the 2030 agenda, which is the sustainable development. We have 17 goals. And these 17 goals and the 2050 agenda explicitly affirms that there can be no sustainable development without peace. And no peace without sustainable development. So, when Canada is talking about sustainable development, the United Nations have already recognized this long time ago when it signed on to the 2020 report in 2050. Where are we? In 2024. Almost 10 years away. And we'll see where we're going. And to that end, we will see those things in the agenda: crime, violence, discrimination, ensuring inclusion, good governance. Good governance. And these are key elements essential for sustaining sustainable development. So I'm briefly going to mention some of these 17 goals so we understand where we're going from. So my presentation is going to bring it from a worldwide perspective, where we are, what we're supposed to be doing, and then focus back to Trinidad and Tobago. So you will see this nexus is not even here. This is something that you're supposed to be doing since 2015. It's there. We have a lot of policies. We ask ourselves why we do it. And we come back to some of the principles my friend is talking about. But we have all these government policies for crime prevention rather than crime suppression. Why crime prevention failed? Because they are not good leadership. These positions and the policies that are being put. You have to have good leadership. Not only have what kind of leadership, that's one piece where we are now. But if you don't have good leadership, at one step, the leader sets the tone. And I was saying a little bit because Karen was discussing and all the stuff before. And I would totally agree with her. When you have a leader of a country that use good as jackasses and talk to the public and believe that the public are stupid, what does that mean? Where is statesmanship in that? Do we have good leaders? And if the leader sets the tone, and that's the leader of the country, If the leader sets the tone, what do you expect from all the leaders come down, from the chief of defense staff, to the commissioner of police, to the police service commission, to every single body coming out the road, to the clerk in the office when you go by the licensing department to ask you to do their job, and they tell them, well, wait now. Anyway, I digress. Let's go back to what I was saying about, and just mention some of what those goals are. Because I can't go through all 70, but I just want you to understand how it all connects back to crime. So the first goal, obviously, if you know in the communities where it's poor, corruption and poverty go together. Violence and poverty go together. Goal 1 speaks to crime prevention. Because we have to make a distinction of what crime prevention is and what crime suppression is. So crime prevention alludes to all these things that my good friend was talking to you about. CCC, My Life, My Path, socioeconomic interventions, all these interventions that you prevent crime from happening at its source. So when that person passes a cash register and is open, they already have that economic benefit within themselves, that they're not tempted by that open cash register to commit the crime of robbing and stealing that cash register for money which is theirs. Because you would have made sure the economy was good and we had enough social interventions in place that those persons would have been able to feed their families and not be put in a place like that. But I could talk a whole lot about crime prevention, and we have exhausted it. We have exhausted crime prevention to the end. We have so many programs in place in Trinidad and Tobago, which you are well aware of, for crime prevention. But crime is still happening. A reassessment of this program is new. Ask yourself, why these programs have been implemented in so long? Because I was part of My Life, My Path. What's happening? What's the reason? Why are the youths that we are looking to target to go to these programs not accessing the programs? Is it that they are afraid to access these programs? And why are they afraid to access the programs? Are we dealing with those issues? Are we just putting the programs there, putting money into the programs, and the programs are not properly managed? Programs are there. So a reassessment of that has to be done. So I'm just going to fast forward. We have our Prime Minister deciding to give $10 million for the same crime prevention program. The Defense Force, right? What are you giving it to the Defense Force to? Did you see? He decides to give that to the crime prevention programs. You're giving it to the crime prevention programs, and the crime prevention programs are failing miserably. What are the matrices that we are saying that we have people coming out of it? But the indicators show that crime is on an upsurge. Crime is rampant in Trinidad and Tobago. So we don't need more crime prevention programs, also that they need to be managed properly and reassessed, because they have to work in tandem with. I'm not saying that we have to negate them, but now we have to look at crime suppression and crime suppression issues. And in crime suppression issues, you have things that deal with judiciary, policing, penal system. So let me just give another aspect of the SDGs. So goal number 3, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Just talking about our prison system, that is, our prison system is what? The university of more criminals, teaching them more. Why? We have rehabilitating programs, yes, but how we treat our prisoners? Are we treating our prisoners humanely? Are we giving them health care? Now, I am of the view that they have given up when they have committed a crime. Some of the things, but their humanity remains the same. You have to be humane in how you treat individuals. And if you start that way, it will reflect in your society. Because the criminals themselves will recognize that I am being treated. So that's just an idea of what that happens. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Access to education in prison again. When people come out of prison, what happens? They get a job, they go back and repeat offenders, achieve gender equality and empower all women and women. Corruption and gender. Gender is the criminal justice system. Measures to prevent violence against women. Human rights counter-terrorism. The rights to smuggle immigrants, migrants, victims of human trafficking. Just touching on these things here. I know we have 15 minutes, but I can speak a whole lot about it, but I just try to show you how broad this topic is when we're talking about crime. Cyberbullying. We're forgetting about data information technology. Cyberbullying is happening right now. And that's also is part of our crime problem. And you know what? I have not even gone down to goal 60, which deals with it. So I'm going to move back. Because all of these groups, every single one of them, the goal 70, as crime prevention. 8. To promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. And it further goes down to 6.1, 6.2, up to 6.60. Listen to this one. And I wanted you to keep the image the chairman was talking about. Bribery in law enforcement agencies. You thought about the extortion, right? But they didn't tell you at some point in time they wouldn't come out and say that sometimes it is the police officers that they have freedoms who are actually helping the gangs or the criminal elements there. Now I'm not saying all police officers are bad, but I'm saying to you, and we have to be real, that there are elements within our services that are undesirable. But we need to get them out. So I'm going to answer some of your questions that you're going to ask. How do we do that? Answer is simple. Very simple. You have to have proper leadership in place. You have to have a leader in place, the commissioner of police, or the police service, that is willing to use the standing orders and available to it to weed out the undesirable elements. And nobody get their food, nobody will get something, you get thrown of a minister, not being a minister, not being a commissioner, what again, Captain Griffith? Just brought you there. But you need leaders in place. Leaders with, Mr. Sheriff said, testicular fortitude. But we know literally well. Corruption in the private sector, access to education, and the list goes on. The list goes on with those groups. And I'm just going to browse over that. Where we need crime suppression. And with crime suppression, we need to focus on justice system, prison system, and deterrence to committing crime. But when you see people committing crime, the deterrent is getting courts. When everybody knows they can do whatever they want and they don't get caught, what happens? They just continue doing it. They just continue. So our detection rate is abysmal. You know that. We're catching nobody. What are you after? System with the DPP. You're taking forever and ever to go on. So the cases are just going on, and the money isn't coming in. And looking at crime suppression techniques is to make sure that we look at the harder aspects of policing. We need to revise our crime prevention. We know it's failing. We need to put that money into the PR system, and I would suggest to you, dear Prime Minister, give the money to the PPP for the prosecutors to get the people out of the system, and justice can be served. Thank you.
I want to say, first of all, that we had some fantastic contributions tonight. But I want to also keep in mind that if you read the newspaper, there are lots of people who make contributions, and they're very pertinent and they're very current. And you realize that it's not that we don't know what the solutions are, and it's not like we don't know what the problem is. But we have to get involved. So I'm asking you, each and every one of you, tonight you are invited to have cottage meetings in your home. Call us. You can meet Tim afterwards, you can meet Gary afterwards, you can meet Sunette, and there's a young lady in there, Kathleen. You can leave your number and your name with her, and she would get in touch with you, and you can have cottage meetings. And a cottage meeting, you don't need to have more than 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 people. We will come. We will come, and we will share the vision. But you see, what is so critical, all of this would be a total failure if we don't start working, each and every one of us, talking to someone, getting them to know that there is hope, that this is not about just one party or one group or one sector of the society, but all of us are coming together to save our nation. And now we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think, what is your concern. Talk to us, and we have the leaders and the deputy political leaders who will answer whatever questions you have. The microphone can't go all the way to the end, but what you can do is come up here and we'll put the microphone here and you can answer questions. Thank you.
I must say, what we heard tonight is food for thought by the various speakers from the different parties. And I think we should give them a round of applause. I could touch on the 3 speakers for the same tonight. But after listening to former Minister Karen on the economy and energy, listening to Lonsdale Williams, and listening to the Deputy Political Leader of the NTA on national security, one thing I can tell you, our country is in trouble. I have a saying for the last 9 years, PNL is problem, UNC not a solution. And I have been saying this, and I will continue to say it until we get it right. And Lonsdale touched on something about the voting population, which is about 40% between the ages of 18 to 35. And I want to tell you, my son, who is now turning 18, is also in that category. And if we look at how things in Trinidad and Tobago presently, just come back from our Olympics. I heard the political leader of the NTA comment on it. Where is the hope for the young people in this country? Where sports and culture and tourism is concerned? We're hearing a lot of grand talk. And where is the vision to bring the young people in the forefront and make them part and parcel of the development of Trinidad and Tobago? We are lost. And what we are seeing today, we need change. We heard what the Deputy Political Leader of NTA talk about. The Prime Minister, who is also the chairman of the National Security Council, talk about 10 million again. We heard about Colony Orange. We heard about livestock. A matter of fact, NTA political leader get fired as Minister of National Security for exposing giving contracts to gang leaders to pay their heavy price. And we are seeing it in the make no doubt about it. Politicians are going to bear the criminals. Politicians are making deals with criminals. If you all don't want to say, I will say it, because I want to see a better Trinidad and Tobago. We must send the message loud and clear. But I want to say tonight, after what I'm hearing coming from the table, let us go out here. Let us go out here. People are waiting and they want to see new leadership. And we cannot go into an election in 2025 and go with people with questionable characters and have question marks over the population will mind us. Thank you.
Get questions that the young people here want to ask us. So let's start.
My name is Norman Dindial from the Northern Tobago. My concern is how we are coming together. In other words, how we are formalizing this position. Now, we know that as we are now speaking regularly about the need for another party. We speaking regularly that a third party will not cut it. We are also hearing regularly that there is no position for the coalition. But all I would like to suggest or ask is how would I know that the leaders perhaps will be speaking together, but I really do not know how it is that we are really forming a coalition in series of IAPTO organization of structured. That's it.
Okay, so the question is, if I am right, the question tonight is, how is this coming together for the vote? I think the people to answer that would be the political leaders themselves. So we have Tim and we have Gary and we have Chris. So Gary, you want to do that?
Fellow political leaders, other members of the executives of the three political parties, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. So usually as it pertains to that political party, we have been through it. 1981 was ONR, 1991 was NAR, 2007 was COP, I believe one now was the HOPE, NTA, COP, other political parties. Probably 10 years from now, we have other letters. The point is that rich constituency, those individuals who are independent thinkers, independent voters, they will always continue to build. From 1981 to 91,000, then it moved to 127,000, then it moved to 147,000. And it continues to build. What keeps this together? It is definitely not going to be marriages of convenience. We've seen that happen before. It happened in 1986 with the NAR, that we developed joining the ONR, and also in 2010 with the Congress of the People and the UNC. What is going to make this thing move? It is not about political parties just joining up to beat the PNM. There must be something of substance. So what we are doing this time around is making sure there's something towards proper transformation of Trinidad and Tobago. We have now set a roadmap, and that roadmap is a policy platform that is going to ensure that this is what is going to bind the parties together. Making sure that we have that degree of substance in how we can have proper policies, and that is what we need to stay together. The policies is going to cause transformation in national security, health, education, the economy, tourism, sport. Every single arm of the public service has collapsed in the last 3 decades. We intend to utilize that roadmap. That roadmap has been drafted by some of the best experts in the country, independent thinkers, and that's what we need. is not to divide the country based on the only individuals that must be part of transforming Trinidad and Tobago, must be based solely on those individuals who have that specific party card in your back pocket. So these independent thinkers have formalized something, and we are going to continue to bring it forward to the country as we move along. We intend to put the country first, not about trying to win an election and get into government. Political parties, they have gone into government, and then when they get there, they do not know what to do. So you turn around, you see, call it, you become Minister of Finance, but Prime Minister and for the balance of budget, you become Minister of Communication. I can ask all of you, who's the Minister of Communication right now, and half of you are not even know. The man can't communicate with the country. We then say, Shankar, you become Minister of Sport, but Prime Minister never take a line, that's what you just with that position. And that is where we are. We put square pegs in round holes, and the individuals who hold the position, there is nothing for them to have a substance to develop their ministry. So we are setting up that template that you all will see as we move along, showing what is going to bind the parties together. If there are other political parties that believe in that same transformation, that is what is going to keep this, to make sure that it goes this time around. The transformation involves that roadmap, not us all joining together to prepare them. Being there, done that. So I give you assurance that this time around, we have something of substance. And when we hear the roadmap, that will be that is going to turn around, as I said, every single arm in the public sector. It will make you understand and appreciate the fact that this can be a great country, because we have checks and balances to measure performance, make people accountable, ensure good management and good leadership. Thank you.
We're now going to ask the leader of the COP to share the same view with regards to us coming together.
The very evening to the table and everyone that made it possible to come out here this evening. I don't have much to say because I want to say that the Congress of the People, the NTA, and the O, I would say that we carry almost the same philosophy, the same ideology. And that is what I have no doubt that is going to keep us together. When I first, I gave a call to the team, to the message what we need to join together, to group together, and this will continue to have discussion on what's up. And I didn't see any problem with us coming together because we carry almost the same ideology. And what I take into consideration is that the amount of people, independent thinkers that we have in our country today, way more scientific than those that we have for. We simplify that because of the minds of the world. So I have no doubt that we coming together to bring that change that is needed for our country. So I want to thank you very much.
Then this is about you, so we'd like to hear you.
I wasn't planning to speak, but Mrs. Michelle said she wanted. Well, I want to, my contribution will be twofold. I want to address Karen. Karen, you were spot on in the economy. What is concerning is Trinidad and Tobago is poised to be the only country in the world that is going to be drawing natural gas from cross-border fields. For example, the Dragon Field. And for those who don't know, there are two other fields west of Dragon Field that is even bigger. I can't pronounce the names, but the first one, west of Dragon Field, is now taken by the Russians. And there's another one up on Open, not yet exploited by the Venezuelans. That's something we're looking at as Laurel Manatee. I am advised by energy experts, if we could access the Laurel field out of the Laurel Manatee, the Coquina field is a small field. And if we could access Dragon, we will have gas to last us between 7 to 8 p.m., 8 hours. So we can see point stars operating at full capacity, and we can see the infill program of Trade 1 becoming a reality. That's the first thing. But what is important, ladies and gentlemen, political leaders, is that Trinidad and Tobago is not a part of any global value chain that we can be part of to add to the revenue base of the country. For example, Taiwan makes 80% of the world's semiconductors, right?
In Costa Rica, there's Intel that makes almost 75% of the global microchips that goes into computers. Where are we? What are we doing? Where is that level of planning? So, and then of course, we are not attracting any foreign investment. The only investment I'm seeing is with the steel, with water from the metal arsenal. In those people who I speak to are having a lot of problems with government bureaucracy. So one of the conversations till that focus and big people in this public sector reform and reform of the protective sector as well. So that is the extent of the economy. Now, Commander India, our country is. I represent 13 business chambers in this country, the Confederation of International Business Chambers. Mr. Griffith saw my presidents on TV. On Tuesday, they're going on TV6 tomorrow as well. Right? But that's all we could do. We can't pick up guns and we could do it. But I want to bring two things to you that is factual. I'm coming to the chase with you. Mr. Eversley was forthcoming. This was in the news. Marlene McDonald was being sworn in for the second time. The president was Mr. Cameron. And then you have a gang leader named Bertie. Walking President House, uninvited, creating trepidations with the security and special branch. I'm going to say tonight, we talk about leadership. I'm saying we have to stop the government from being in bed with the criminals. They are colluding with criminals. And those of you, this is not something abstract. Those of you who look at Narcos would see the relationship Miguel Angel Garrido had with the government, then government of PPR of Mexico. That's why he was able to traffic as drugs. That has to stop. I mean, there's a lot of things has to be done and investigated. And so, if you start an example as to the need to put some politicians in the class. The second thing now, and then this is an important one. A lot of my members are legally country, so these are very correct. I would say there are about 300 of my members have gone left Trinidad over the last 5 or 6 years. They are migrating. Now is the August holidays, another 30 days here. They call me and they talk to me. They are moving. They get the children out of the country. They are scared that the kidnapping will come back. They are not getting access to foreign people. But what is more important, they are being victims of crime for too much. And we have made many calls for the joint patrols. And we're not seeing any joint patrols. I don't think I'm blind, and I am not a military expert. I raise that because there's a word called confidence. Seeing the men in gray and navy blue, the men and camouflage, and even if it is military, momentum. They are well trained. That will help business. Perhaps we consider their investment. But we need to see all. We need to see. And there's a second thing now that I'm raising, which also is in the papers. Because something happened in Thailand this week that was a little shocking. So, Mr. Griffith made the baby marriages. I understand he was talking at the top of the marriages. And Mr. Prasad walks into the president's house and is intercepted by the prime minister. I am telling you straight, unless the lawyers are the table, correct, and Clifford tell me I'm wrong, he breached the Constitution. He violated the Constitution. He violated the Constitution. Exactly. There is a case in court with Mr. Griffith, and I'm saying this to you because if those at the top are violating the Constitution, like this, and you should never see public office in life ever again, my younger sister Sherry Seekerson. Then the courts, or something like Thailand, where they remove our prime minister for that. Look, because that is aiding and abetting in treason, violating the Constitution. Right? I mean, I have another opinion that the president violating the Constitution, but that's a different discussion. I'm saying, Mr. India, Commander India, that is the number one mistake. Okay? And then we follow. And this needs to be addressed. We are waiting with bated breath to see the outcome of the case with this because I understand it as a court. And we are waiting on it. Simply because that is going to be a game changer for the country. Thank you very much.
But I'm going to start with the last point, please.
I have written about it, and the reason I wrote about it regarding the narrative with David, and I don't want to give him a quote. I'm looking at what is right and what is wrong. Okay? Earlier on, I had the documents they sent to me when they said they wanted to appoint someone to stand as the acting commissioner, acting deputy commissioner, and they asked the people that asked the president to. I saw the letter, and she said, I have no authority to do that. I am a creature of statute, and I have to operate within the confines of statute. And the statute does not give me the authority to make these appointments. Now, I wrote about it because when this went to the York to the president's house, this is what the president said. This by the way, she did call me and didn't ask me that I did about it. So I just said I didn't have to ask me and go to them. So all I would say is this. She said, and our Prime Minister admitted that he was there, and he made it very clear that he did not want a guarantee, and I'm not giving my opinion on it. He did not want to. This is what the president said. The list was withdrawn immediately. She had no power to do that. She is a creature of statute. So the rest of the list is given first and telling you section 1 of the Constitution. Once that list was handed to her, the Lord said that she had to prepare the notification for Parliament and Parliament to she could not hand it back. Up to the day after that.
I'm sorry, we have to listen to the people and what they have to say. So I'm sorry. But the head table is not about the head table tonight, it's about you. So I'm going to ask you again. So if you have any questions. Yes, a pleasure to meet you again.
My name is Kudam, Kevin Kudam to be exact. I live in the St. Anne's Castle area. It will be, we will start doing a lot of mentions. And when I walk this street here this afternoon, I felt good. Because I remember in 1981, a gentleman by the name of Ivan Williams, I'm so proud of him, called me and said, I would like to join the ONR, which is about 2 meters away from here. So it's 42 years now. I against the 2 major parties in Trinidad. I am a member of the NP. And I believe this time we're going to get right. Because we have a lot of past experience of what went wrong. Even if I have great respect for people like Robertson, Halverson Philip, and Buchanan as leaders of those two parties. I feel now, when I saw the three parties together tonight, I say we need that. And once we do it right, from our past experience, that we believe that we could make adjustment in, we will be government in less than 1 year.
The previous speaker was saying about the imagery and the things that gives you confidence. Now tell me something. In the entire world, we're not even talking about the Caribbean or the United States or Europe, we're talking about the world. Where in the world do you know that people can just go and make a number plate and stick it onto their car, and it's an official number? And the thing about it is that the technology to change that is available online. You can have this instituted within 2 weeks. But this government made a promise that we're going to change and have secure state issued plates 2 years ago. And they said it will take 2 years to get the technology in place. The technology that can take 2 weeks. So again, you realize it's the imagery. Sometimes, and it's scary though, but sometimes you get the feeling, it must be scary for a lot of people, you get the feeling, could my government be encouraging criminal activity? That's a question, right? So any questions again, please. Come ahead. Yeah, the prayer right here. And we have to say one after. Go ahead.
What is the plan to use for the final life that we do not plan? When I was coming public, or let it go to the fact, because we can't just complete it there and then nobody will not doing it. So we need to have your out in the public. Just as I would say that we need to go and now the public can anymore. We have to
Night everyone. Firstly, everyone I'm William, I'm just citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. I just have a very basic question for the basic man. And that is, and I will preview this with using a reference to the United States. Finance, one side of it. Similarly, in Trinidad, we have the comparison of the racially united or divided politics. One side of it. And now we are here. And how are we able to make a footprint on such a huge division to draw either or both sides to this political party? And Captain Griffith, I'm a huge fan. But what I would say is, you speak so well, it's invigorating, it's encouraging, it's motivational, but it echoes, when I listen to you speak, but it echoes that let's say to use the words, right, of how well you can speak and talks around something, talks around the beautiful idea of a better place and a better plan, but never like that. Lands on the specifics. So you talk about round pegs and square holes, about the communication minister not knowing how to communicate with perhaps they don't use it. Right? Or the sports minister, or the financial minister, or this and that, but I didn't get any names or positions or anybody to speak to the specifics. Open the round pegs, the round hole. So I'm asking my questions. This was the suggestions to fill those spots. But there's one suggestion for one position or multiple. And if you have anything to say on that topic, from this side or the other.
Before you speak, you let's start first, because Louis is going to answer the question in the young man. Yes. Good. Please go.
Good night. Good morning. So pleasant good night to everyone. My name is Trisha. I'm a member of the Congress of the People. It's very refreshing to be here tonight. People pull me out of behind my submission and so questions and lots of other stuff. So we're here to talk about Trinidad and Tobago. And one thing I want to say to the table and everybody here is that we need to be real. We need to be real about what's in front of us. And what's in front of us is what? Why would I say something like that? Because that's what's happening. We have problems on the ground, we have problems with the youth, we have problems with the bank, we have problems with the police, we have problems, everything is a problem. We cannot go into an election or into 2025 added to the problems. There is a missing generation who is waiting for us. to help them with the problems that we are seeing, and they can't solve, but we have to solve it. How do we go forward doing that? Together, united as one. Me being a person from Trinidad, and work very closely with Mr. Winston because I understand what the Congress of the People is all about as far as the doing. Right? And one of the things Mr. DeGran wanted was change in the way politics was being done in communities. That hasn't changed. Anybody today or tomorrow, you to be a member of parliament in any constituency, nothing will change. You have to talk to the grassroots, you have to talk to the gangsters in court, you have to talk to the Russia people, and you have to talk to everybody there before you reach there. This is really missing. We have lost all connection to the ground, and that's where the things come from. We talk here, but we forget there. But we're going to start here. So my suggestion is to send out a call to leaders in communities who wants to be involved in politics and who wants to share their ideas. Don't ask people to come and join your party. Give them the option to come up and share it, and let them really take them and start moving. Young people, living in a different time, living in 2024. Everything is social media. I am very popular on social media because I stayed connected since 2010. There are persons in this room who wasn't so on the social media 2010, and when we lost the election prior 2015, they disappeared. You never see them. You know when they go and talk about 2 months from now to tell people to vote for them. That is really nice. So I am saying that there are persons here who really want to see change. Let's start by being involved in these places where we seeing and we hearing we see you on the social media. Nothing really good like. You know? But again, where they see you, where the whole country see you on the social media. Let's get this thing right. Let's do it right this time, and once we do it right, and say no, yeah, it's everybody inside here. Once it's done right, we'll shock to see the energy and the support you will get from people in different pools will be coming out, but they've got to set that thing right. The guy there asked a question about religion, I think about race, which is something we don't like to talk about, and we know it's a common thing in Trinidad and Tobago. Right? And Mr. Hope, bring talk, they're going to come at you. Mr. Hamilton, they're going to come at you. I might have been able to come and defend you. Yeah, it's real. So we need to understand the realness of what we're dealing with. And come together and push that energy. Or you will see a lot of bad nobody. They will come to you guys. How about that?
You could answer the question of the young man.
Good evening, good people. I think it's only bad people here. Good evening, good people. Let me first of all express my heartfelt thanks to the organizers of this meeting this evening, because sometimes we don't know when the wave begins. And those of us who are concerned about the well-being of Trinidad and Tobago have been looking for a wave. The question must be answered again. And I think, what's your name, sir? Jay posed a very important question.
in the context of Trinidad and Tobago's politics. Is there any room, any hope, any possibility that what we are meeting to talk about here tonight could prevail in the best interest of Trinidad and Tobago? If you believe it cannot prevail, then we should all walk away from it. But if we believe it is important enough to prevail, then we should begin to hold hands and walk together, notwithstanding how steep the incline will be, how deep the ravine will be. This is an assignment that we owe to the unborn children of Trinidad and Tobago. The completion of this assignment. I am not in any way worried about this talk about this is a country with only mustard and ketchup. I'm not going down that road at all. Because I take time to look at what is going on all over the world. The British Parliament, as currently constituted, is made up of more small political parties than ever in the history of Britain. And that has come about because people, wherever they stood, they said, we can't take it no more. If you understand what is going on in other places in the world, France today is at a point where they have to make some hard decisions. Do I live and work with A, B, and C, or do I allow the powers of evil to take control of France? And that is France. France just held the Olympics. So I'm saying to you, what we are doing here is not only important, but it is something that is very possible. The question was asked tonight. Tell us how this thing going to work. And perhaps it is the one takeaway I feel we should all leave here with tonight, in understanding that there are many models how this thing could work. But I would like to offer my own 2 cents on it. Everyone believes that for us to go to the Parliament and to be able to work and do things in the best interest of the Republic, we must have one political party. But understand what has been also said here tonight by other speakers, is that the philosophy, the rules, the regulations which will govern our association are there, which we will study and agree to beforehand. And there are basic things. If we know that we are going to target 5 constituencies, let me make this point clear. If this group, this association of parties, were to win 5 seats, nobody could form a government in Trinidad and Tobago without talking to us. I'm saying to you, it is not easy. But equally, I'm saying to you, nothing is achieved without, first of all, doing effective and proper planning. Nothing is ever achieved without, as it were, adhering to strict principles and programs. Nothing is achieved without, as it were, thinking it through and going for it. Let us agree that if we were to say, among the 3 parties, we are going to contest 15 seats. We will take all our energies and resources and put it in 15 seats. We will use those 15 seats to determine our influence in the government. And let me also make this point to you all.
Sorry about that, Joe, but I don't ever like to overstay my excellent so young. And I might lose the seat too.
But the point is this. If we think it out well, and it's a point that we need to recognize, everyone believes the confusion for the two parties is in the marginals. I want to say to you all that my understanding of the thing is that if we interfere with the marginals, we will give the PNM its biggest majority. And as one who lost 3 elections in Barataria Sawa as the campaign manager for the PNM, I could tell all of that. But when Mr. Dukaran comes in 2007, big and strong, the PNM won. That's the last time they won Barataria Sawa. Port of Spain South. The PNM stronghold, Dr. Williams' seat. The PNM wins it by 8,000 votes. The UNC will get 1,000 votes. But that constituency has 29,000 voters. And my sister made the point earlier. All the young people who are in that constituency and who are due to vote this year, many of them never vote. Since the last election, they never voted because they're now coming of age to vote. They didn't vote in the last election, and so now they are 5 years older than 18. And the list goes on. The question is, how do we reach all these young people who walk around with the phone in the back pocket? The phone must become our ally in this campaign that we are proposing. And so I'm saying to you, nobody in this group should run and say they're talking to the UNC. Let us talk to the UNC on election night when they come knocking on our door. And we say, well, listen, you think we should do this thing like Sam Mitchell did it in Sylvinskill? Tonight, we feel we should make one of our political leaders the Prime Minister. I'm saying to you, it is possible. It is very possible. And keep your eyes on the tracks. We are good people. What we need to do is to broaden this group. We must have meetings. Whether it's half the size, we should set ourselves a target to have 1,000 meetings in the next year. That is how we will win this election.
I think that's that Louis is very articulate speaker, and he has a vision for Trinidad and Tobago, and he can go on. And because and one of the things about it is that we can all learn so much from it. But tonight, we're going to hear from you a little more. And I'm telling you that at the appropriate time, we will hear more of Louis again, all that he has to share. Is there anybody else that would like to? Please, come on.
Hi, good night everyone. My name is David Sinet. Well, my question, so came in and Mr. Lonsdale Williams spoke about youth, and that's how the youth population forms approximately 40% of the voting population, right? But when I sit down here tonight and I observe, there's not 40% of youth here in particular. So I would like to know what exactly and how exactly do we plan or do you all plan to engage the youth in terms of becoming interested, becoming involved, and as someone a part of this young voting group? A lot of us young people don't feel as though it concerns us or that it directly matters. We feel as though we would just take our own destiny into our own hands and handle it ourselves. We fend for ourselves, like migrate, do this type of thing, so to speak. And Mr. Lise would have mentioned that the phone would be a great tool, but also how we go about it really matters a lot, because during the last election, I would have been 18 years old, and I would have remembered that the PNM would have used things like zesters and this type of party appeal to the young people, which don't really provide much. So I would like to know in particular, how do you all intend to make young people feel involved and feel as though they actually matter? Thank you.
That is one of the most pertinent questions you would have. I personally have always asked myself. I wish I knew what the answer was. I don't know you want to address this. And any of the political leaders tell us, how do we go out there and get the youth excited? Oh, Lonsdale, you mean? Okay, Lonsdale.
Right, just quickly. One of the things that we have to understand is that we don't know it all. And it is critical that we get those young people like Aaron around us who tell us what to do. Because I've worked with young people for in excess of 30 years, there are some things that I might know, I might be familiar with. But in each of our political parties, there should be a youth arm. I see it with the NGA stuff sometimes, I see Hope and, Aaron being one of those persons that we are bringing in and taking charge of our youth perspective. It is critical that we as the elders understand, and I said that when I was speaking, we don't know it all. And even if I was to answer you tonight, I would tell you, here's what. Without you at our side, I also want to say something in relation to what Alicia said. Unless we get down onto the ground and we speak the language of the youth and of the man at that level, we can talk as much as we want there. But if we understand the power that youth base has, it is not harnessed. We know technology is critical in that. But technology being used in any which way, when I can literally spend $5 on Facebook and reach 15,000 people. But what's my message? Is it going to connect with them? We may hear them, but understand something about the piano. They use disastrous music. They know what they're voting for, But what was the last one? Right foot, left foot something, and sign your name with a golden pen. They had no clue, but they liked it, and they just voted piano. We can't be so self-righteous to think that all we sell are the pie-in-the-sky visions, and not understand that the young man might be simply thinking, how do I find a sustainable job? Commander, we spoke about the SDG goals. We have to take that and begin to drill it down where everybody understands. So the middle management, you can understand where you will fit in. But the young people and the messaging for the young people, it may not come from anyone here. We may have to hire someone, but we may have to find people at the end of the day that make sure that the whatever messaging. And Chair, me just say this. Captain Griffith mentioned something about there are about 250 intellectuals in this country that has created a roadmap. If you saw that roadmap, for those of us here, we may understand. Young people ain't going to understand that. So we will have to take that message and dump it down to ensure we get to a level. So Aaron, we're happy that you're here tonight. We hope that you bring more and more, but without young people, we will get nowhere. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, one of the things about political meetings is that politicians like myself, we like to talk to you, and it's always a great opportunity for us to do that. But we also have to be mindful of the fact that it's 9 o'clock and you should be getting home to your families and club. And therefore, I want to say to you, thank you very much for coming. We could stick and mingle with the political leaders here and ask questions, and Kathleen is there. I did give you a name and number if you can have a cottage meeting at your home. We encourage you to let Tim talk about that spark and that grows. And I love the fact that he said, when are we coming on? We can't just sit here and make speeches. We have to go there and do something and have meetings. I want to thank everyone tonight for coming. I want to thank you very much for coming. Have a good night.